Now, as we've already said, Georgian President Salome Zourabichvili has left the Orbeliani Palace and the presidential seat after a hardline critic of the West was sworn in as her successor amid widespread public protests. The nation has been mired in political turmoil since October's disputed parliamentary elections and the ruling pro-Russian Georgian Dream party's controversial decision in late November to suspend Tbilisi's EU accession talks. Where does this leave the country and its people? Well, to explore these and related questions, I'm joined by Rusif Huseynov, Director, Tbilisi Center. Mr. Huseynov, welcome to TVP World and thank you for taking the time.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Good evening. It's a pleasure. So, the existing president, or the current president, until a few hours ago, has left the palace, but she said in one of her speeches, she said, "I take the legitimacy with me," and she says that Kvavelishvili's inauguration was a parody. She then joined the protesters, all very powerful symbolically and brave. But is it going to make a difference?
The transition of power in Georgia in terms of presidency went more or less smoothly, without any violence, and less dramatic than expected, because as you rightly mentioned, now ex-president Salome Zourabichvili she wouldn't step down, but after the Georgian Dream government warned that she might be removed from office with the use of force, she decided to simply quit the presidential palace. However, as we all expect, she would be very active in the Georgian politics and loyal to the Georgian cause. And let me tell you this, despite the fact that the president is a figurehead without any real power under the current Georgian constitution, Zourabichvili became one of the symbols of the ongoing protests in Georgia and gave us some iconic photos and video footages when she, just imagine this picture, when she, as president, went on the street and joined the protests against the government. Right now, she is more welcome in the Western capitals, which does not accept the legitimacy of the current Georgian parliament and president. And we can expect her also in Washington, D.C. in mid-January during Donald Trump's inauguration.
Understood, Mr. Huseynov. We are where we are now, in Georgia. The question really is that despite the public protest, despite the ex-president emerging as a leader for these protests, what is it that they can do to change the situation?
The political crisis in Georgia has indeed reached a stalemate or standoff, if you want. And right now, neither the authorities nor the protesters have any exit strategy out of this situation. We don't see it. The government, despite the public unrest, and despite the Western sanctions and heavy reactions, does not back off. The protests will also probably continue for some time by paralyzing the Georgian capital and the whole political life. And right now, the standoff simply furthers the depolarization within the Georgian society.
Understood. So if we're not going to see change from within Georgia, is there something that, for example, the European Union and or the United States can do to put some energy and effort into bringing the people's will to fruition?
Well, in fact, both the EU as an institution and in individual member states, as well as the United States, have already done a lot by denouncing the ruling party, by introducing several sanctions as personalized sanctions. But the real changes, and everyone in the West and around the world is expecting that the real changes should come from within. And right now, as I said earlier, the authorities, they also seem very strong. I don't see any cracks inside the government right now. But again, these sort of standoff might lead to very grave results in the coming weeks if the parties do not sit down and do not negotiate any exit strategy out of this situation.
Well, we certainly hope that there are no grave outcomes in the coming weeks. You know, we always look for a peaceful transition. Now, the Prime Minister has said that he is willing to restart conversations with the European Union regarding accession. What do you make of that statement?
Even the Georgian government wants to resume the process. They have already lost their credibility and their legitimacy in the eyes of the Western countries. And I don't think that the Western capitals will accept the Georgian leaders as interlocutors anymore until the government changes in Tbilisi. Therefore, despite this statement, I don't expect any drastic changes between the Georgia and West relations.
Understood. Well, let's see how that all turns out. Mr. Huseynov, thank you very much for sharing your insights with our audience. Have a good evening, sir, and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And that's all from us in this bulletin of World News. Don't go away, though. Lots more coming up. Goodbye for now.